I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home.
Good day, students, and welcome to today's class. Topic for today is electronic data processing. We've been talking about data processing, and under data and information, we enlightened on types, definition, examples of data processing, how data have been processed, and all of that. In this class, we'll be talking about the definition, advantage of electronic data processing activities, data processing cycle. Under electronic data processing, we're going to know that in as much as data can easily be processed from one state to another, there is a faster and one more efficient way of data processing, and that is electronic data processing. What then is electronic data processing? It refers to the use of automated methods to process commercial data. Typically, this process uses relatively small repetitive activities to process large volumes of similar information. Have you ever seen a baking factory whereby processing is done during production? It is done by using a high-tech electronic data processing. When you talk about electronic data processing, your mind straightly goes to high-speed processing. Any information that can easily be processed at high speed and using much data is electronic data processing. And when you talk about electronic data processing, we also talk about the advantages. That talks about the speed, the automated operations, the compact storage, the discipline imposes, and also decision making capability. One short thing that you must know about electronic data processing is that in electronic data processing, the data is very fast. Processing of data is very fast. It is not just fast, it is fast just as the speed of light. When you talk about electronic data processing, what comes to our minds is that even as this information are being processed, it's processed at high speed. It's designed to perform repetitive work at high speed. Also, have automated operation as the number 2. Under automated operation, it has to do with an electronic computer that can carry out sequence of many data processing operation without human interaction. It therefore means that the system would work on its own when it's being programmed, no matter the voluminous nature of the data. Processing will take place without human interaction, without human intervention. Moving on, we'll talk about the compact storage. Under the compact storage, what comes to our minds is that it's able to store a very large amount of data. This is the reason why it is called an electronic data processing, because it's able to store large amount of data. One is that it will be fast in storing this data and processing this data. 2 is that there won't be any human interaction, and the third and important one is that it will be very large amount of data. Also, there will also be programming problem solving. You can't run an electronic data processing without programming. Firstly, you must program. It falls under the discipline imposes, whereby it solve problems with computer. You must first understand the problem. Second, you must program the computer to give you the right answers. So electronic data processing works hand in hand with programming, because it does. After you finish programming, there won't be any need for human interaction anymore. Moving forward, we'll talk about data processing activities. Now, when you talk about data processing activity, it consists of activities which are necessary to perform or to transform data into information. When you talk about data processing activities, it's talking about how is data now being processed, how are the activities that are being carried out during data processing. And on your screen, you have 6 very important one. We have the first one, data collection. Data collection is actually the process where data originates and its form to do transaction or observation. Now, when you talk about or call it data collection, before an information is being processed or before data is being processed, the data must be collected. It must be collected from a particular location. After it's been collected from a particular location, then the next is that it has to be converted. Converted in what form? It can be converted to its source document to form that it is suitable for processing. Data cannot be processed if it's not converted to the suitable form. Just like when low level, which is machine language, is being converted from a machine language to an high level, and when high level is being converted back to a machine language, it must be converted to a suitable form for processing. Also, after it's been converted, next is that data must be manipulated. This falls under data manipulation. Data manipulation, once the data is collected and converted, it is ready for manipulation in function, which converts data into operations. Now, there are basically 4 types of manipulation. We have sorting, we have calculating, we have summarizing, and we have comparing. These 4 parts of data manipulation was done in J1, if you can recall very well. Also, when the data is now being captured and manipulated, the next is that it has to be managed properly. The output has to be managed properly, and in doing so, 2 things comes to play. There is storing and there is retrieving. When data is being manipulated, is being processed, is being worked on, then there must be storing and then there will be retrieving. When you say storing, that needs to be saved in a storage location and it has to be retrieved. And in all of this, when that has been done, what's the point of you processing the data? It's for communication. The data has to be communicated, which moves to the next, which is data communication. That is the process of sharing information. Unless information is made available to the users who needs it, it is worthless. So it means that the main essence for all of this is for it to be used by the computer, used by the user, I mean. And moving on, next is that it must be reproduced to a copy or duplicate data or information. And this reproduction activity can be done by hardware or by the machine. Moving forward, we'll talk about data processing cycle. When you talk about data processing cycle, it involves the stages in which the data undergo in becoming an information. Any data that is being processed must undergo through a cycle. This cycle is called data processing cycle. And what does this simply mean? It's actually grouped into 4 various stages. And the very first stage is your input stage, next is your processing stage, the other is your output stage, and the last is your storage stage. Now, in all of this, what happens during your input stage? Data is being collected. What happens during your processing? Data is being manipulated. And what happens during output is that the data is being decoded and presented to the user. And what happens the last, which is your storage, is that the data needs to be stored and retrieved by the user, because in all of this, the essence for processing is so that it can be easily retrieved by the user. All of this we also I would like to touch more on computer processing operation that includes input and output operations. In all of this, we'll continue from there in our next class. Thanks for watching and have a very nice day. See you in class.